just gonna do this quick video just to kind of update the situation and sort of whatever happened or what have you, seeing as how my activity on that ceased abruptly. I hadn't been recording many videos or other things lately. And that's mostly because when I moved, I actually got the internet shut off or what have you, so I don't even really have internet right now. Is sort of one of the main reasons, so I can't just keep, doing this or that, what have you. But I basically just kind of want to talk about a couple things. And that's kind of just to make it faster because and it kind of depends. Like, you could write an essay and kind of get the same point across. It might take a little longer for someone to read an essay and kind of comprehend it enough, because that usually requires rereading and to study a document, typically, rather than just sort of reading through it once. You'd sort of want to spend like maybe a whole semester studying a work or a text, which is like 3 to 4 months, sort of mostly devoted to that and whatever else you're doing. Expedited, services have always been a thing, although I'm not too much a fan of that kind of style, because it's kind of just rushing things. And like I said, when I was in high school, something like 8 years ago, like well, like 10 years ago, and in like English or language arts class, and in community college as well. Nope. When we would read like a book or something, and we would have to write essays on it, and just discuss it, that would usually take some time. It wasn't just, we wouldn't just like, read through it and then discard it or not talk about it. But we'd study it, like, the teacher would be like, read this chapter, and then tomorrow we'll talk about it or whatever. And hey, you guys have an essay due um, soon or whatever. Hey, for your midterm, you're gonna write a paper. So this is all preparation for that. It's all leading up to that. And the final. Um, so something like that. I'm still writing a book, possibly two or three. I might just turn one into a blog post. I wanted to publish it. I was kind of environmentally conscious for a while, and I was, you know, planning on publishing a collection of essays, if you will, and um, but I would could do something just like posting something online, like a document or a PDF file. Some of that would typically be free if someone were to post it online somewhere, just a link to read it. I think if you're going to go that sort of paperless route, you'd want to sell it like on Amazon. I would upload a Kindle edition of something and price it at maybe like 99 cents or something, just for good measure on that. Just to almost prove that you could really do it, I guess. Which hasn't been an attitude that I always subscribe to. It's kind of something new. I mean, I never really felt that way. I mean, I have in some regards, but when people sort of excessively try to just prove something or act like they have something to prove, or it's that they'll be insecure and just try to compensate for some thing that they're lacking. I mean, the way I understood it is that people have these mentalities, and it's all they know. I mean, you can't please everyone, I don't think. I mean, some people could be trying to kill you, and then that's not someone you could keep trying to reason with, or you can't keep pleading with that person and try to be their friend or something. Like, someone's always gonna want something that you have, or if you're a symbol for something, like you represent something, someone will want to take it or kill you or consume that, just because, I guess. I mean, because to me it almost seems like boredom. Like, people are bored and they're just like kind of doing random stuff. I mean, like, if you're in a mood, you could talk or something. But I mean, I'm usually like, if I go outside, like it's usually just me. Like, I don't have a crew to roll through with. I don't have like friends, like a best friend that I could like hang out with and like talk or go outside. Usually when I go outside, I mean, there's like other people. I mean, there usually be groups of people, and then you can't do anything. I mean, like going up to someone and talking to them is like one thing, like approaching someone, but then like if you're just kind of walking, minding your own business, and you get like people catcalling you or whatever, it's just weird. I mean, because like and I don't even know where this came from, but I've been accused by people close to me, like friends and family, of talking to myself, and in like a schizophrenic way. And being honest, I don't recall ever talking to myself or even being around those people who accuse me of such, being around them enough so that they would see me doing that. I mean, in some cases, you'd be hanging around someone and they like smoke weed, and then you get paranoid, and it's just like, oh, maybe they're thinking about that or something, or something similar. But it seemed risky, so it's like I can't, like when you have a situation like that, and it doesn't make sense because people are trying to provoke a response out of you in that way, and you like say something like it'll look like you're talking to yourself out loud because no one else is there. Like, oh, this guy has an imaginary friend or something. When clearly you're just trying to ward off predators or just annoying people that have comments, and they're not starting a conversation with you. They're either trying to provoke you enough to approach them to start a conversation, or provoke you enough to like punch them or something so you get in trouble. So that it got to the point where like I just tried to save my breath in those situations, but it kind of just it doesn't really make sense, and I got to the point where people are kind of into the idea of someone being able to do that, like someone being able to like talk to anyone at any time, regardless of if they have any company. So I had to kind of watch it. Like, you can't do that. Like, you could be walking down the street, and then like across the street are like two people or some other guy, and then he sees you, or he calls you gay or something. I mean it's kind of different because in that situation you could actually be communicating with that person directly. So on the weirder side of things, it's kind of just like maybe you're just paranoid. I mean, it's obvious. It's like, oh, lions don't concern themselves with the opinions of sheep or anything like that. So words, it's all like actions speak louder than words, because you could say like weak or frail people are only afraid of words or scared of them or anything like that. So I think it's something like that. And so I kind of would just want to talk about anything else. Supposed to be doing some other video, whatever, just to talk about more stuff. But I will say that back on the topic of publishing and writing or literary stuff, not just like literary criticism, but whatever that might be, it's that. So I was working on my original manuscript um, when I got more ideas or something, and then I was like, I'll do another one, but I was already, you know, some extensive amount done with what I was doing. Yeah, but I couldn't really decide whether to do like something that's fiction or nonfiction. I was always a nonfiction person. I never saw myself being a writer, like a fiction writer. It's all stuff that's done out of necessity. I was always more of a reader than a writer, and the only writing that I did was for school, to write essays and whatnot. It was never really anything like that. I don't do book reviews. I don't like really write stuff for other people. As far as a book review goes, all I really do is take note of notable parts, or just jot notes down about it for later use and whatnot. So I don't think it has much to do with like a book review. So I was pretty much done with it. I wanted to meet deadline. Well, I wasn't done with it, but that draft at least. And so I actually did upload a PDF, and I posted it. And this one, is kind of more of an autobiography than anything else. And so that's why I decided to just start another manuscript on say topics that I was actually interested in talking about or discussing. So on the other hand, it could have just been in parts. Like, I kind of had to start from the beginning. So that's why a lot of it kind of seemed more autobiographical than anything else. The world I come from is really nonfiction, so I already know a lot of things that guys are trying to talk about or post on their social media. It's like it is all stuff that they're excited about, that they think is new information, but it's really not. Just because you don't post something doesn't mean you don't know about it necessarily. Like I could, it's basically saying that I could post my social security number, the passwords to my social media, and whatnot, but like, why would you? Like, I'm not gonna post my, password to my accounts or anything like that just because someone said something, and you really, I don't think should be that connected, like it, because it seems like muting people would be a good idea, or just like unfollow everyone, or not just really do that much. I mean, a lot of it's just probably reading into stuff too much, so that can all be avoided through however you want to do it. Making your profiles private is one thing, and then like blocking or muting people's another route, and then just unfollowing everyone and blocking everyone doesn't seem quite as effective as muting or just unfollowing everyone, and that's social media. So I kind of want to get back to it. You don't want to over research. What I had planned was pretty cool, but I think people's kind of excitability just kind of ruined it for me. People are trying to say that I ruined this or that for them. So I mean, it's all just passive aggressive behavior. So my manuscript, some people may have saw it. I only left it up for like a day before I removed it because it was unfinished. There were some parts, and I posted it as it was because I started to lose interest. It was kind of taking too long. So what I thought, and if you think this is a good idea, be open to feedback, but we'll see, because I might not take your idea into consideration. I think it's my allergies. No. So, like I said, I wasn't meaning to work on an autobiography, but I guess the only way that what I actually want to do will make sense is to start from the beginning. And if I take it that slow and just do like one thing at a time, that'll be like one, like I'd have to really like publish what I have now and then finish the next one and then post that, and then people will, if they read it, I could imagine will be like, oh, what about this, what about that, you left that out. And it's like, yeah, you're still doing that. You finish that, and then you post it, and it seemed like there's some balance. Like I would want to prevent a lot of headache by just finishing it and posting it all at once. But you have stuff like a pace to keep into consideration. I think it was something like that. And then, when you're working with everyone else's pace and their expectations, it turns into that. Like that's when people get angry and passive aggressive, but it doesn't make sense if you think about it. It's the same thing over and over. Like they'll just use the opportunity to do or believe the opposite. Like I said, I mean, there's like no new stuff that could really happen anymore. Like it's all the same thing. Like someone will be like, hey, I'll stop messing with you if you do this, and then say you do that, and then they don't stop because they'll find some like small little hole that they're trying to poke in your logic. I mean, the whole time, like I poked holes in everyone else's logic already, and what these people are trying to do is poke holes into that logic. But like I said, their whole thing already had holes poked into it, so they're mad because they probably um, sort of induced the implications of that, and so they're trying to, reverse it and poke holes in that, but like the very nature of the thing, you can't really be reversed since it started first. I'm not sure who started it first, but I mean, what I did certainly has enough value to render most of those arguments or criticism pretty null, or let me just say, like, completely null. I mean, it's all this. Like, a lot of the people on the internet aren't even native English speakers, so, I mean, who knows what's going on? Like, you just can't be done. Like, it's never ending. I think people are pissing you off on purpose. It's impossible. I don't think people deserve, like, anything that will help them, see the light. I think it's too late already. And it doesn't make sense, basically. And then someone's gonna say, like, oh, the universe doesn't make sense. It's chaos. There's some order in chaos. It's like not completely chaotic. It's not random, whatever. So, you know, anything else is just, not so much icing on the cake or anything like that. But I mean, it's kind of more the same. It's just like another thing, like it's all like really, if you think about it, like a week ago, a day ago, an hour ago, whatever, and then someone tried to do something. It's like I don't know. I mean, some of it's in there somewhere or whatever. Like it must be something I said. Like you get random hate mail and insults, and it's like, wait, what? Like what happened? Like I don't. Like what did I say? Like what? It's like sure. I mean, you think about it, it's all what it is. Like I can't say certain things first because people will use the opportunity to interpret it as something that just gives them permission to do more stuff or something. So like on the one hand, I can't say anything because people just misconstrue it on purpose just so they could try to make it mean that they're smarter than me at last or something. You know, like you really can't say anything because people just, it's already been said before. Like if you scroll through my social media, anything that I wrote or typed or posted, it's like all there. And so you're really just repeating the same thing to new audiences, just in case someone hasn't heard it yet, or whatever. So it's stuff like that. And then, you know, it's just weird. So, like, I don't like how it turned out. Like, I don't like, like, I really don't like how the world is now. Like, how the world turned out. The way people act is pretty different from when I was like, I mean, it's pretty the same, but, things happen. You can't really explain it. Like, say you smoke weed once, and then, it expands your mind, and it changes the way you see things for better or worse, irrespective of any paranoia or what have you. And then you have people who never smoked weed, and I mean, some of it's just too much to think about. Like I obviously don't agree with most things people do or say because they don't really know what they're talking about. Like a lot of people are like dogs, like they're just going off of like sense, and like they're kind of just filling in them, like they don't understand something, like there's nothing in their head, but like I said, they're like a dog and they just, react to stuff. Like it's really weird. I can't, like, I mean, it's just kind of weird. Like, I mean, because some of it's like ego defenses, like people, again, like don't want to be embarrassed in front of other people, or they have an image they want to maintain, so they they just basically lie. Like they don't, like they have to know everything, and then you switch from like information and factoids to real life stimuli, and that's when it turns into like, oh, did you see that, did you see that, you're outside and there's like a bird flying over there, and then it's like, okay, like, or something, or someone's looking at something and then you look at it and it's like, yeah, I saw it, yeah. I mean, it's pretty different. Like when we were kids and we would be together, like our mom would be driving us to school or picking us up from school, and then we'd be in the car and then we'd be like, oh look, there's a weird guy over there, look, and then one of us wouldn't look, or someone would be mad and he wouldn't look, be like, look, the light's gonna turn green, we're gonna go look at the guy over there, and then he's mad so he didn't look, and then it's just like, oh, whatever, and then you get home and you just like forget about it or whatever. It's just like, oh, he didn't see that guy, it's pretty funny, whatever. But nowadays, like, that's an insult to it. Like if you don't look at something, people think your IQ is low, so you're like outside and there's something over there and someone's looking at it, and then you're like, oh, whatever, and then that happens, and they're like, oh, you're retarded, you didn't look at it, your IQ is like 20 points less now because you didn't see it. Did you see it? Did you see it? It's all that. Like, it's like, okay, there's a dog over there. Like, okay, I saw the dog. He was making a face. Like, I saw a dog 2 minutes ago as well. Like, it's like, okay, there's a bird flying over there, and then it's like, look at the bird. Did you see the bird? And then he doesn't see the bird, and he didn't look at the bird. And it's like, oh, he didn't, like, it. It only applies to them and nothing else. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like I'll say it. Like I took enough psychedelics, DMT, mushrooms, LSD. Like I took enough, and that was one of the messages I got. Like I'll just say it. Like LSD is illegal. You can't talk about it, but I'll talk about it. Like people always try to see what's missing, but there comes a point where it doesn't make sense. It's hypocrisy. They are hypocrites. So, it's really weird. And it doesn't make sense. Like, I mean, one thing makes sense, and, not much else does. So it's like, sure, like you go watch a cartoon, like, oh, look at Superman, he's flying. People can't fly. Well, Superman's an alien. He's from Krypton, so he could fly. And it's like, oh, well, still, it doesn't make, humanoids can't fly. Well, okay, it's a cartoon, it's fake, it's fiction. Art imitates life, life imitates art. Like, okay, people can't fly, but I accept, like, I'll suspend my disbelief and entertain the cartoon, but then it gets, to other points, like, the main message, can't really be done, and, anything else is kind of proof enough of what something is. And, the fact that some retard actually hit me in the mouth with a hammer and broke my tooth is kind of more icing on the cake. I'm not gonna say it's my fault. I think it's everyone else's fault. You know, like who really gets relegated to hanging out with retards and cavemen? I don't know, but shit happens, and so we are living in a simulation of sorts. I'm not, gonna take that. This is all like everything that everyone is saying is stuff that happened like 2 or 3 years ago, as it is. I don't think we're equal or we're the same. I don't think people should have really equal opportunity. That's like a human thing that's happening. There's hard work and capitalism. That's fine. I don't think people should be given stuff for free or anything like that. Like I said, I don't think we're the same or equal, no matter how you try to talk about it. Carl Sagan, in the 70s already said we're star stuff and we're made out of. That's the model of solar system formation. Like you can't really just use that as a rule or a law that says you're smart or something just because you use that as an example of something. It's getting kind of off topic, but actually, what's been piquing my interest lately is the whole butterfly thing. Terence McKenna was a butterfly hunter. I mean, he, posed as one. I'm sure he had good reason to. It has nothing to do with metamorphosis or anything like that. Instead, if you're inebriated enough off of mushrooms, you can get a butterfly-like feeling. I mean, it's the movements. We've all seen butterflies fly around and how they move, and it's like, oh, it's pretty cool. They kind of zigzag around a little bit, whatever. I'm not gonna, go too much into what a high dose mushroom trip is like, especially in comparison DMT or breakthrough DMT experience or breakthrough mushroom experience or breakthrough LSD experience. But I mean, I'll say, like, when I studied them, it seemed as if mushrooms and DMT were more similar. I mean, it's just high doses of mushrooms would be similar. Whenever I would try lower doses of mushrooms, it would be similar to LSD, except LSD has kind of a more stimulant feel to it, to me, like at those lower doses, whereas mushrooms kind of makes me feel like I'm really, like I smoked a lot of weed and I'm just like really kind of tired and hazy or whatever. At lower doses, you do higher doses, you can get visuals or things like that. You can talk about what it might mean or how the mind might generate those images, similar to like a dream or what have you. So it was like, sure, you get something like that. You do DMT, and I still don't think people gotten DMT to the point where I have, not just the doses, but the experiences. Like whenever I see people talk about DMT, it's clear that they don't know what they're talking about. They're just writing stuff. It's all like, oh yeah, I got entity contact. Oh yeah, there was a god-like being, and we were talking, did this, and we're it was an alien or spaceship. It's like, okay, I've gotten those as well. I've broken through chrysanthemums. I've gotten weird stuff. I've gotten cool stuff. But I've also gotten stuff that's nothing that you can do. Like, it's impossible. And what makes it weird is that it happened more than once. Like, the first time I smoked DMT, I don't know where it came from. I don't really care. After that, the easiest way to get it was to extract it yourself. So I extracted my own DMT and I smoked it, and it was just really weird. And then after that, I wanted to see if any of those experiences could be reproduced. So I managed to get more DMT. It wasn't the kind I extracted again. I purposefully did it that way just to see if it would be the same, and it was not the same. I thought it was cool. Like, the DMT that I extracted and used was like, it was just weird. I mean, it was kind of more personal or what have you, so it's kind of too much. Like, I almost preferred the DMT that I did not extract because it was kind of less consequence. Like, it was more playful and it's kind of more weird and fun. But the DMT that I extracted, it was really weird. Like, it was too much. It was too powerful. That's one reason why I stopped. Like, I think it was it was some other. It was like the third or fourth dose of my extracted DMT that I was using, and when I smoked it, it was just insane. Like, I don't have dosage information, but I couldn't describe it at all. I mean, I can, but colloquially, like, I like saying it like that because I'm just seeing what people are gonna say, and of course, like, one reaction I get is like, oh well, there's someone out there who can describe it. He did the same thing and he does know. He's smarter, but it's bullshit because it's impossible. Like, I only say things the way I say them just to see how people react, and as expected, like, if you leave something open for someone to criticize, even if you do it on purpose just to see how that person will react, as expected, they rush onto it like flies on shit or white on rice, probably like missing the point. Like, I don't know, but it's just weird. Like, I get nothing out of it, really. I mean, so, like, when I did that, it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever saw. Like, like, when it was happening, I tried DMT before, and I get a chrysanthemum, and you do more, and you break through, and I've gotten elves. I've seen the dome. I've seen machine elves and insectoid, like, little beings that Terrence McKenna called tykes and whatnot. I've gotten spaceships, I've gotten aliens, and elves. I've gotten men and full body spandex suits. which seems kind of like an LSD thing as well. But so as I was saying, like LSD is a tryptamine, and it's like DMT and mushrooms, except it's more focused on reality, whereas mushrooms and DMT have a kind of dream-like feel to it. Like you get a vision, like you pass out, and it's as if you're sleeping. You close your eyes, and it's there. Like mushrooms look different from DMT. You know, it's this is kind of weird. Like mushrooms have a '90s feel to it. If you do it that way, you could take a high, like a high enough dose mushrooms and pass out, and get the whole thing. I did it with LSD, and I really didn't think the dose was that high, but I passed out for hours, and it was just bizarre. Like, you know, like it wasn't even really that psychedelic. Besides, like colors being more vibrant, or like whenever I do LSD, like the the pattern is different. Like it's not that linear. I mean, there's like two peaks with LSD. Like you can't like get to the peak and it's like, oh, this is it. It's after that you can just like hang out or something. But you know it's all dosages. Like you do a high enough dose and you pass out. So when I did that DMT, it was breakthrough. Like as soon as I smoked it, like it felt like I was about to die. Like it couldn't breathe. Like my vision started to go dark, even though my eyes were still open. Like everything was going dark, and I started to panic. It was like, what did I do? Like, what if I done? I really blew it this time. And then like I couldn't. There's nothing to do. I was like, fuck. So I fell on the ground, and it couldn't do anything. Like it was just there. It was constantly changing. I was like, what is this? Like I couldn't even remember it. And then like once it started to run out, like I started to come back down, and then I was able to remember it and recall what was happening, and it was insane. Like I cried because it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever saw. It was the most beautiful thing you could ever realize, comprehend. You can barely understand it. Like it was there. Like with LSD, it's kind of less visual, and you're just thinking the whole time, and you get racing thoughts. Mushrooms are similar, except it's like slower, and you can get different messages. You do a high enough dose of mushrooms, and you pass out, and you get go to another planet, and maybe see aliens or dwarves, and it's like yeah, that happens with DMT too, except it's somewhat less of a hassle because you could just smoke it, and with mushrooms you gotta eat a lot. Like you can eat a handful of mushrooms and be stoned. Like if you want it to be more DMT, like you have to eat like a ton of mushrooms, like 15 to 20 dried grams of mushrooms. With DMT, you could just smoke it. And it was just insane. Like, and people keep trying to like discount what I'm saying, but most of them haven't tried DMT. Most of them only tried mushrooms like once or twice. Like, thing is, when you do mushrooms, you could get you close your eyes and you can get stuff, and it's hard to describe. It's as if you have like a computer in your mind that glitched, and just a bunch of different stuff is happening. Like how is that a thing? The thing is, I just consider myself more fortunate because I tried basically DMT first, and when that happened, it was completely indescribable. You know, the only way to explain it is if it's God. Like, no one knows what God is, and then that's what that is as a metaphor. I mean, it was psychedelic as fuck. And like when it started to end, it started to come back, and I could realize what was going on. It was like, this is DMT. Like, I've tried DMT before, but it was like spaceship, alien, elf, the dome, you know, what have you. But this was, I also recognized it to be DMT. I mean, it smelled the same, it tasted the same, it looked like it wasn't a spaceship, it wasn't an elf, it wasn't an alien. It was something else. You know, people keep saying, "Oh, I did mushrooms and I saw an alien." "Oh, I did mushrooms, I got an elf." I mean, you know, I've seen an elf on LSD. I've seen aliens on LSD. I mean, it'll be different, like in a kind of a sick, twisted way. You know, that's why I was trying to promote LSD that much so people could have a bad time on it as a joke, but you know, it didn't work because people just do the opposite. So if you say LSD, they'll think of mushrooms anyway. I didn't want to promote mushrooms so they could do mushrooms. You don't want people to do mushrooms. You want less people to do mushrooms, so it's more mushrooms for you. So it doesn't make sense. Like, I just said that, and that just ruined the whole thing. So it doesn't make sense. Like you have to be honest, I guess. Like it doesn't make sense. So that's the. I think DMT is stronger than mushrooms. It was just insane. So like I did it again, and it was like a few doses later, but like I did it and then I smoked it, and it felt the same, and it was like, oh, this again, you know. So I passed out, and it looked different. It was different, but it was the same. You know, after after a certain point, like I realized that it's like, this is the most beautiful thing I ever saw. Like, how could it only be obtained through the smoking of a plant drug or plant constituents? Like, you take the plant alkaloids out and you smoke them, and that's the only way you can get that. So it's like something about this seems wrong. Like, wouldn't the most beautiful thing you ever could see be something like an act of kindness or human charity or, you know, love? It's like, but with DMT, you literally see something that comes from somewhere, whether it be from your mind or somewhere else. And so it's like, okay, like, what? Like, and it was the second time it happened. Like, the first time it happened, it was the most beautiful thing I ever saw. I do it again, it's like the most beautiful thing you ever saw again. But the first time was like more beautiful because, not because the colors were different or the shapes were different, you know, if you want to call them shapes, it's because it was like novel. Like, you do it again, and it's like, wait, hold on, this is the most beautiful thing I ever saw again. But there's like two most beautiful things I ever saw based off of those two specific DMT experiences. It's like, I can't. It's like I can't say that to someone because they'll just say, "Oh, you're high. You just smoked a drug." So I accounted for that already. I said, wouldn't the most beautiful thing you ever could see be like, you know, an act of kindness or something? Like, do something like that. Like, I don't know. Like, so I don't think you could do mushrooms and be like that. So you know, again, like, you can't say anything because people just do the opposite. So you say that, and people would be like, "Oh yeah, well, the most beautiful thing you ever see would be like a naked girl. Like when a naked chick be the most." It's like, yeah, like I'm trying to be proper. I'm trying to be politically correct. I'm trying to be nice. Like, I'm not trying to be lewd. I'm not trying to do all that. So I mean, you may as well say everything at the same time. Like, you can't. It's impossible. So I actually gotta go. I'll continue this later probably.